fastest show in sports.
Sophie Cunningham has become a real star in the WNBA. And she became a star because Caitlin Clark was getting jostled about on the court. Sophie stood up for her, took a couple of calls, and basically people are talking about what a really good player is. Well, she's a good player in the first place. But in the New York Times right now, you brought this article to my attention. The New York Times, and here's the headline, "She avenged Caitlin Clark on the court, now sponsors, and the right love her." Because she is now known in a lot of circles as the MAGA Barbie. And she answered back in that article, and I'm reading for the people who are watching here along on YouTube, "I'm clearly white and from Missouri, and so I think there was a lot of assumption there." Points out she doesn't talk a lot about politics, but she does follow Candace Owens, who's a complete fraud and propagandist. She follows the Daily Wire, which is just as bad as Fox News, News Sport, OAN, and all the rest for printing out propaganda. And she gets on a lot of conservative posts. On Outkick, which is a conservative sports site, they said, "She's hot. She posts A+ Instagram content. She's good. She's edgy. She might be a big R Republican, which certainly doesn't hurt." Mike, they don't give a damn what she is as long as she looks good in tight clothing. That's all that really is. But it brings up the great point, and I want you to talk about this first of all, because if Sophie Cunningham is being identified as MAGA Barbie, that brings up a great question. If you're a fan of Sophie Cunningham and your politics are different than hers, do you immediately then stop rooting for her? Do you stop following her? Because, hey, Mike, there's a lot of people out there who say if you're following the MAGA line, you're nothing more than another propagandist for Donald Trump. So what does that do to those people who want to make her their hero, if you will, but now they know she's following the bad guy?
Yeah, we're so past. I was watching this thing on Bush and Reagan, and they were having a debate, the George H.W. in the 1980s about immigration, and how they basically said, we need to welcome these Mexicans into our country and find a way for them to become citizens because they're a viable part of our country. And yes, the people that are criminals, send them back. But oh my God, the Republican Party's gone 180 degrees on immigration in the last 40 years. So has the MAGA Party and everybody else. I would, I'm not saying I need to root for someone who has my political beliefs, but if you're following Candace Owens, I hate you. I don't want to see you hurt on the court, but I want to see you lose. I want to see you lose badly. The Indiana Fever are now America's MAGA team. Now, it doesn't hurt that the KKK was founded in Indiana. Okay, let's be clear about that. It doesn't hurt that we're at a time when some lady that's an advisor to the White House is going on Twitter saying, we need to see more white people in commercials. These are lousy people, Ed. These are not good people. It's not anything to do with being conservative. It's not anything to be doing with being family values oriented. I'm family values oriented. I don't sit there and read people that want to get rid of people that don't look like me and because they don't think like me. I don't think like that. Sophie Cunningham is a rotten human being because she follows Candace Owens. You can put that out there. I hate her.
Is it then?
I hate the Fever. I hate the Fever. In fact, I'm now rooting against Caitlin Clark's team. I love Caitlin Clark watching her. I hate them. I hope they get.
But how far do we go, Mike? How far do we go?
I'm personally gonna. I'm gonna beat them. I'm gonna beat her with her. I'm gonna beat her with her grandmother's hose. I'm gonna set her on fire, and I'm gonna put her out with Kaepernick's cleats.
You and hoses,
like metaphorically.
Man. You and your kids with the hoses, man. We got to do something about this. But it's a good point because
metaphorically,
we're such a politically divided country right now where either you're right, you're left, you're blue, you're red, and there's nothing that ever comes between. There's no such thing as purple anymore in this country. If you find someone who's a major sports star or an entertainer, let's say, and you know that they follow Donald Trump, they follow MAGA, they follow Candace Owens, they follow Newsmax, they follow Fox, they follow the Daily Wire, they follow Charlie Kirk, and all these other people who are out there, do you make an exception and go, well,
No,
gee, I
no,
really love
you're
the
a
way they
world,
play, but I don't
Ed.
like their politics? Or do you say, look, if you're doing these politics and if you're involved, you're showing me who you really are. And there's no way in hell I'm ever going to root for you again because
Ed,
you've shown me what's in your heart.
Ed, we're at war. We're at war, Ed. Culturally, we're at war. These people are the enemy. Okay, I don't care if I have Indiana season tickets. Done. I'm done with them. This is me. This is where I'm at now. And it's the same on the other side. Do you know how many fans Bruce Springsteen lost because he criticized the president? Do you know how many people hated, thought that the Chiefs were it was a conspiracy theory that they were going to win every Super Bowl because Taylor and Travis were put together to become America's couple. And that this was a huge conspiracy theory. And Taylor endorsed Kamala Harris. Like, let's be clear, Ed. People of those ilks lost a lot of followers and fans because they are on the other side of the culture war, the right side, Ed. We have to stake our claim. We have to put our flag up. Let's forget about being neutral.
Is that right, though? I'm going to play devil's advocate here.
No, it's not right. It's awful. It's not who I want to be. It's not who a lot of people want to be. This whole climate, the fact that sports is now a prism into the ugliness of our political polarization is sad, but it's where we're at. And you talk about fighting fire with fire, like and no, the whole notion of Michelle Obama saying they go low, we go high. No, we both go low now. That's what we do. And
Well,
it's
you have to
sad,
go
but
low
it's
anymore if you
true.
think
And
about it, because you have to at least meet them on their level. I mean,
If
look
Sophie
at what
Cunningham is
Gavin
following,
Newsom is doing in California right now. He's got somebody out there working his social media, and if you want to talk about it, he's mocking Trump every single day. And there are those on the
it's
right who will
great.
say that doesn't make him a very good governor because he's stooping low. Well, Trump has stooped low for how long?
It's great.
And you still
It's
follow him?
great because it's satire. It's satire. He's out there being bombastic, and
Yes.
the hilarious thing is there's people on the right that think it's serious that's who he's become. Like, you're being very ungovernor like doing these posts, and they're thinking they don't understand that it's satire and he's mocking Trump. So yeah, do I think Gavin Newsom it would be an ideal president? No, he's a little petty. He's a little mean spirited. And be honest, he might have more Botox in him than any of the Kardashians. But nonetheless,
No, Mike, stop right there, young man. You have now crossed a line too far. No one has more Botox. No one has more scars than the Kardashians. Stop that, man.
that's true. That's true. Beauty is pain. But I will say this. I will, in all seriousness, I'm gonna watch. I don't hate Sophie Cunningham, but if you're going to walk right into this world that has welcomed you, and it's an ugly world, and that's now your friend. It's like Draco Malfoy going over to see Voldemort at the end of Harry Potter. You find out later that Draco Malfoy actually had a lot of sympathy for to Harry Potter and helped him defeat Voldemort. But at the time, Draco Malfoy was being welcomed in by this awful crowd of people that wanted to destroy the world. Well, that's Sophie Cunningham right now. She's walking right into the embracing arms of the people, the MAGA people who are sitting there at the front of Cracker Barrel saying, "Come on, Sophie, let's go have a chicken fried steak and eggs for breakfast." And she's going, "Sure, let's go.
Have we
Get the hell
reached?
out of here, Sophie. It's over, Sophie."
Well, let's point out, too, that she says she's from Missouri, and Missouri is one of the deepest red states in America there is, without question. But have we reached a point where it is impossible, and it's not only impossible, but it's not correct to separate politics and sports. I mean, they used to basically walk on very different sides of the street here, Mike. But have we worked at that point right now because of what the right believes the left is doing and the left believes what the right is doing, and everybody is hating on each other and everybody is fighting each other? Have we reached a point where don't separate the two? If you root for somebody who's a fan of Gavin Newsom and you're a Republican, you need to basically walk away from them, because that's the wrong thing to do. Or if you're a fan of Sophie Cunningham and she identifies with MAGA, do you walk away from her because there's a problem with what she does? Or do we just root for people anymore? I mean, where does it go now?
Well, it puts me in a bind because I really like watching Caitlin Clark, and that team moves the ball well. And I do like people that stand up for their teammates. If she had left it at that, she didn't have to reject. She didn't have to reject MAGA America. She didn't have to say, I'm the most liberal person in the world, and my friends are all in Black Lives Matters. And she didn't, and Antifa is portrayed wrongly. I don't like militancy on either side. I really don't. I really don't. But the reason Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk and people out there like that are, they're out there like that, is they do like militancy. They don't like the fact that you can love who you can love. They don't like the fact that science is getting in the way of religion. They don't like the fact that America has become a progressive, forward, enlightened country. They when they say, make America great again, they're not talking the 2000s, the 90s. They're talking 1950s, before Jim Crow laws. These are either covertly or overtly racist bigots. They don't like people they don't like people who happen to be gay. They don't like people who happen to be trans. The whole thing, it's hate the sinner, hate the sin, love the sinner. Well, I say, hate the bigotry, love the bigot. You guys are bigots. And if you're Sophie Cunningham, and you're going to, if your social media thread involves a woman who's put her main focus, Candace Owens' main focus right now, is calling the French president's wife a man, essentially, that transitioned into a woman, and she's being sued, and it probably, it won't even be the end of her career, because someone will bankroll her after this, after she's forced to pay all these libel fees. But the bottom line is, this is who she follows. So, look, I can only judge a book by what I see, and I'm not going to judge by its cover. The inside of Sophie Cunningham's book involves Candace Owens and these people, these right-wing influencers it's not even another side of this coin. It's just meanness. It's being a bad person. So guess what? Sophie Cunningham's a bad person to me. I get it, Ed. Let me finish. I get it. We're at a time when it doesn't matter who we follow, musically, entertainment-wise, teams. We're at a time where we have to decide, do we like the song so much that we still listen to it, even though we have major reservations about the singer? And guess what? I don't anymore. When I watched Leaving Neverland, I had defended Michael Jackson.
I knew you were going to bring up Michael Jackson, and it's a perfect example. Go ahead.
Yeah, and you know what? To this day, I still like the Jackson 5. I'll listen to Michael Jackson tunes up until Off the Wall, maybe Thriller. But after the first reports of him sexually abusing young men, and anybody who doesn't think Michael Jackson's a pedophile is either related to him, works for the family, or is in so much denial,
or is brain dead.
They just can't let the great Michael Jackson be thought of as someone who went after young boys, and he did. That's the truth. So all I got to say about that is, yeah, if I have enough reservations about the singer, I don't want to hear the song anymore.
Well, let me bring this up, because there's always an argument when it comes down to sports and athletes about character. So many times when an athlete breaks a law, or when something happens, or when they do something despicable, or they make a mistake, we're always talking about the character of the athlete. We want our athletes to score points. We want them to be a great player. We want to root for them. But at the same time, there's a portion of us that want that player to have great character. We can go to the steroid issue in Major League Baseball, where we can say that, hey, Mark McGwire might be a really nice guy, but guess what? He was a steroid user. So that's part of his character. You can talk about, and how much did we talk about character when it came down to even Pete Rose and so many others? Pete Rose was the greatest player that baseball maybe ever fostered. But his character was suspect because he bet on the game. He broke the rules. It comes down again to the fact that here we are in 2025, and have we reached that point where we now have to say, yes, character is the biggest thing. And if that character doesn't mix, but I'm going to stop myself, Mike, because even when I say that, there are people going to react to this who are going to say, I don't give a shit about his political. I don't care what she roots for. As long as she scores 35 points a game, gets 17 rebounds, 8 assists, and my team wins, I'm going to be a happy guy. Because guess what? I'm getting all I'm supposed to be getting from it is sports. I don't care about character. Have we reached the point where we now have to care about character in our athletes? And if we're going to talk about character in our athletes, then we have to split politics. You've got to put it in there, and you've got to make a decision. If you're a Democrat, you can't stand with anybody who follows MAGA. If you're a MAGA Republican, you can't stand with anybody who follows the liberal Democrats. End of story, and you've got to divorce yourself from them. Mike, that's a battle which you and I can sit here and fight. We are never going to win that one, because you're still going to have people who will be out there saying that, well, if Tom Brady was still playing, hey, Tom played golf with the president. He really likes the president. Yeah, but guess what? He won my parlay on Sunday by helping him beat the New York Jets again. And just making an excuse. But that's what people will do, Mike. They don't give a shit about character, but we should. That's supposed to be part of an athlete's makeup.
Well, that's, you just hit on something. You know, the Olympics have taken a lot of beatings over the years, but anybody who's covered Olympics front and center, and I've been fortunate to cover 7 of them for the New York Times and the Washington Post, is you really, for all the cliches that we talk about covering sports, and you really see them all, the Olympics. If you don't cry at the Olympics as a reporter once, you're not human. You see somebody that came from nowhere win some gold medal that you never heard of before, and they have their, there are disposable heroes. They come every 4 years. You get emotionally moved. There are things that the world comes together in Olympics like few other places, and it's literally a non-segregated place of worship for almost humanity as much as sports. And the guy who founded the modern Olympics, Pierre Coubertin, Baron Coubertin from France, when he founded the modern Olympics, he wrote this incredible treatise on the fact that sports not only begets muscles, sports, the English schoolboy version of the old sports thing, begets moral muscles. You become a better person when you do sports. And that was part of the whole notion of, why were sports invented? To put a halt to war. We had games so we didn't have to fight each other in real combat. We could fight each other on the field, and it could be this healthy form of competition. Well, guess what? They don't get moral muscles anymore. People wouldn't put syringes and pills into their bodies. They wouldn't do all these awful things off the field that some people do. The bottom line is unless you are a bettor, which I think if you're a big degenerate gambler, you really get into that, I think you could fairly say it doesn't matter.
You don't care what anybody's politics is.
No,
you don't care if they're racist, sexist. You don't care. As long as they win a game for you, and as long as I cash, I'm happy. You know that to be true.
Right. And if you're like, and say, okay, your kids like Sophie Cunningham and you're a season ticket holder at the Indiana Fever, are you going to go to your kid and go, you can't like? So no, you're not going to. And the fact that she keeps her political views, I guess, on her Twitter pages and her social media and behind the scenes, is probably healthy for her economically
she doesn't really
right
come
now.
Out, and that's the point that Sophie was making. She doesn't really come out and she's in your face about her politics, but she doesn't deny it. She hasn't said anything negative about being called the MAGA Barbie. She apparently is living on that right now, or at least to a point. And she
She's
also, when you start looking at her X account, you can see that she follows people who are the hardcore far-right
she's a
MAGA Republicans. That's got to say something about character.
well, exactly. She's look. She's Riley Gaines in training. You know, the former swimmer that finished fifth to Leah Thompson, the trans swimmer from the University of Pennsylvania, and she finished fifth to her. Leah Thompson's records have been stripped. I agree with it, to be honest. I think boys and girls can compete all they want until puberty. Once you're biologically changed, I believe that you should be in an open division if you're going to identify as another sex, and then you put all your times together with that person, that's fine. I don't think that they shouldn't compete at all, that people that are trans shouldn't compete at all, but I don't think their results should be next to biological woman. That's me. But all that said, Sophie Cunningham is a role player. She's a role player in the WNBA, which doesn't pay enough anyway. It should, but it doesn't pay enough. At some point, she's going to have to retire. She's going to become a conservative influencer.
But she has a huge social media following. Huge.
Yeah, she just got a huge media following. Her Twitter numbers went up tenfold when she became like the defender of the white pigtailed girl from Iowa.
It still comes down to that question of character and whether or
Do you
not
wait? Let me ask you that. Let
yeah,
me ask you. Can you can you put aside your personal beliefs in whether you like a person to root for your team?
in other words, you're talking about political beliefs?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, not like Deshaun Watson, where he's basically groped and sexually assaulted all his massage therapists that work with him. But I'm saying somebody that has strong political beliefs the other way. If they play for your team, say for instance the Florida Panthers, or a team that
Boston
you
Bruins.
really like watching, enjoy, can you just put that aside and say, you know what? Keith Kachuk, he's a wild, crazy Trumpian, but damn it, he plays some good
Well,
hockey.
I'm actually a Boston Bruins fan, so that's okay. You can just make sure. I got to make sure to point that out there.
Well,
I got to
there you
represent my
go.
boys.
That's a perfect example right there because Tim Thomas, the goalie on the Stanley Cup team, of course, as you know, would not go to the White House to be honored by
Correct.
Barack Obama with the team
Correct.
in
I
2010.
I cannot, in all good conscience, I root for a team, but if a player takes a stance that is what I consider to be socially corrupt and socially immoral and supports a message of hate, I can't root for them without any question whatsoever. I can't do it because I know what's in their heart. I know who they are. I know what they stand for. And while at the same time, while I look at Sophie Cunningham, and she's a really good player, I'm not a big WNBA fan to begin with, but I don't really, when I look at her now, I'm going to think twice. I'm going to say that in her heart and in her soul, she supports a level of racism in this country, a level of sexism in this country, a level of hate in this country. So go about your business, do what you want to do, but I wash my hands and walk away. I can't do it.
Amen. I'm with you. I'm with you.
I
And I'm
can't
sure
do it.
there are people on the other side that do the exact same thing. Some people I'm sure were passionate Warrior fans or passionate LeBron fans, and once they came out against President Trump or refused to participate in White House ceremonies honoring their teams after championships, I am positive that there are a lot of people who walked away from those people because of their stances, and that's fine. They're fine to do that. I just yeah, I'm with you. I can't,
If
in
I'm
good
rooting for
conscience.
somebody who supports a thinking process that science is bad, who supports over 250,000 people being put out of work, who supports basically taking away the basic research of the CDC that helps to stop disease, who is getting involved in the process of destroying this country by turning our lands over to oil drillers, if that's what you believe in, and if those are the people you follow, I don't follow you. I can't do it. And for the record, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a liberal. I'm an independent. I've been an independent since I was maybe 25. So I'll look for the good side, but it's not there. Not in that case. And you lose me immediately.
That's all, folks.